Yeah.
Yeah, hold that thing steady. All right, what's up, YouTube? So I was just talking about alignment the other day and trust. The video is kind of just about trust in general. So when you don't trust is like a smell in the room, or distrust is like a smell in the room. However you want to look at it. Like if you're not in alignment with yourself, then you're going to be with the other people that's not in alignment with you. Even if they are in alignment with themselves and you're not in alignment with yourself, it's just a misalignment, and people are not on the same page. So distrust is going to exist there. It's just going to be like you smell something in the room. It's not like I feel like so many times in relationships, that one person acts like the other person don't trust the situation. Like, well, you don't trust that we're supposed to be together. Like, you don't trust it either. I'm just experiencing the distrust or the misalignment, the separation. Is it like just like a smell in the room? You know, it's like a smell in the room or like a sound. You're like, yo, you hear that? You smell that? And they're like, oh, you smell that? You hear that? You're like, yeah, it's separation. I know you. However, it's translated in your body. You're still experiencing separation. For you, you might have other thoughts attached to what that are triggered by that separation. As soon as you experience separation, or your senses pick that up, then now you're experiencing separation, and for you it could be emotional and irrational, or it could be thoughts that you just go into from the trigger, or whatever it is, or behaviors even if it's really ingrained. So like that's when it comes to separation, it really is just separation within yourself, and the more separation you have within yourself, the more you experience separation with the people around you. And I feel like most of the time, whenever I'm having any problems with anybody or distrust with anyone, it could just be separation within me. A lot of time it is just separation within me, and I just typically need space to restore myself, and then the trust will be restored in the situation. But if you never get that space, you never afforded that space, then you know you have to really communicate. You have to really iron out those kinks. So it's the same thing kind of with your body. When your body doesn't trust you from you forcing it to do things, then it's like a betrayal. Like if you hurt your body in any way, you're doing things that even if it's just working a job you don't like, whatever it is, your body's gonna feel betrayed because you're forcing it to do something, and you're gonna create separation within your own body at that point. And the more that your body feels betrayed, it's just like anything when it comes to trust. Like any relationship, when there's betrayal, it takes it's an arduous path to get back to restoring that alignment or that trust. Trust is the truth. The truth is the self, really. It's kind of the core. True is true. The root of it. Trust and truth have the same root. So it's and you are the truth, or the presence is the truth. Everything else is a version, is a mistruth. So that's that's pretty much separation in a nutshell. And you can look at separation within the body, like the more that you have separation within different parts of your organs, the more that you experience separation externally. Whenever there's separation within the bowels, you have desire. That's when there's a void in the bowels, and you have to collapse that through breath work. So if you routinely eat food at a certain time, you'll have separation in your bowels at a certain time every day. There'll be this void somewhere in there. So then instead of eating, you have to do breath work and restore that to where the separation is no longer there, and the bowels can start to touch again and then communicate. And then there won't be desire. The more that there's voids, then the more that there's desire. Because desire is the opposite of contentment. Desire is lack, and to be fully yourself is the opposite of lacking. So when you're completely inhabiting the body and it's communicating with itself, then you can trust yourself. There's full circulation, and that's what faith is. Faith is Fe, like Santa Fe, and Fe on the periodic table is iron. So again, the blood is iron. So full circulation with the blood. But that's just clearing all the voids. If there's full circulation, then there's no lack of trust, there's no mistrust. So, um, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to talk about more so like about attractions and you know, sirens and stuff, things like that. So, you know, people are really attracted to what comes with whatever they're attracted to, or what they think they're attracted to. It's not the mechanics. It's not the thing. You don't get high off the drugs. You get high off the chemicals your body releases when your body starts to detox from the drugs. Because that's really it. You know, you get high, then the body, and I haven't gotten high in a while now, actually. But anyway, you get high, and then your body, what? then your body, what's the name? It starts to detox immediately. It starts to address the situation. So you're gonna have the endorphin release that happens, and then you get addicted to that endorphin release, and then once you reach that latter end of the detox, then you have desire again. And so it's more so a process of not wanting to exist with yourself. You get the body gets this, the physical self is the body. It gets separated from the metaphysical self. The more that you have those you have basically living through yourself, living through experiencing yourself vicariously through external means. So the more that you need substances to experience yourself, the more that your body's going to lock you out of it, and then you don't experience yourself anymore. You become separated from yourself because it's like an autoimmune response. The self is being forced to the surface through sex or food or drugs or whatever, and then now you have just an autoimmune response, like breaking into your own house, and then you set the alarm off, getting into your own house. So now you're an intruder in your own house, and then your body starts to respond like that. You start to look at it like, I hate myself. When the self is what you don't hate, which is perfect, which is complete, which is exactly what it needs to be, and you know the body's just compromised. But if there's a parasite or a persona that has a parasite attached to it, then that starts to inhabit the body more. And the more that you identify with that, the more that it's going to drive you into things that make it impossible for you to live with yourself. And then the only way that you can really live with yourself is if you begin to recondition the body and stop identifying with the drives that aren't of the likeness of the body. There's plenty of things that you might be driven by, that you might identify with, thoughts and different emotions and different attachments. But a lot of that is just parasitic activity that's just trying to keep you from realizing yourself. So there's this detox process where you take the drug, the detox, it begins immediately. As soon as your body recognizes that there's a toxin in the system, whether it be drugs or food or energy from sex with the wrong person, your body's not going into this detox mode. And as soon as the energy starts to get purged, the self starts to re-inhabit the body. And as that happens, the people are going to say, like, they're going to do whatever they have to do to reject the self. They'll have the sex again, whatever it is. They'll get restless in any way to do the drugs to escape or whatever, so that they can push the self away again. When that's, they're pushing themselves away. There's nothing wrong with the self. There's something wrong with the body. The body's been compromised. So it's a wild process of how, as soon as the self starts to creep back in, as soon as the sobriety reaches a certain stage, and then you're reminded of everything that you've done, and everything that you need to do, then people will revert back to whatever the thing is. They'll revert back to whatever the food, the sex, or the drugs, to push the self away again. And the self becomes the enemy. The self becomes what's hated, and what becomes protected is the false self, and that begins to take over the body. And it's just like a mold or a fungus taking over the body, and then you become rogue and separate. The body becomes separated from yourself, and you lose yourself. And then so people are really attracted to the death that comes with the substances. They're not attracted to the sex or the person or the substance or the food or whatever. they're attracted to the death that comes with it. Death is just pretty much distraction, not being in alignment, off the track is distraction. So whenever you're distracted, whenever you're distracted from life, you're going into death. So it's you have your conscious death, whether you're attracted to the sex for the conscious death, to have a child, to have the ego death, to have the life through the child, then you get death that way in a more complementary way, or you're just attracted to death, like just through sensory pleasure and just release and release of responsibility, release of energy. The fleeting euphoria is the actual death. It's never about the mechanics or the thing, the object itself. Once you acquire an object, you start to release dopamine. Once you complete a task, you release dopamine. So you get addicted to that too, to the whole happiness of pursuit. And then, again, the acquisition. So another thing I was going to say was, as far as your senses, there really is only one sense too. It's touch. Touch is the only sense. So it's just funny, when people say like you got to use, your feelings instead of what you see. But you're feeling with your eyes when you see, and when you hear, you're feeling with your ears. There's no, it's all feeling. There's only one sense. It's just touch, and it's if you feel yourself, then you're in alignment with yourself. You're within yourself. But if your body's compromised, then you can't really trust the senses as much. They have a shorter range. The sensuality has a short range, but so you have to have awareness of the likeness of self. What is the likeness of self? Things that aren't in the likeness of self obviously are pretty much the opposite of contentment. So the more that you are aware of the things that are like the self, which would be contentment, control over your own destiny, basically everything that comes with cleanliness is next to godliness. Whatever it is, internal hygiene or whatever, external hygiene is part of that. Whatever that is, that's the likeness of self. And the more that you are aware of that and acquainted with that, then the more that you can take that information or take that awareness and merge that with the sense of touch. Because as far as like picking a mate, it has to be a certain kind of vessel to even house a certain kind of consciousness. If their body isn't a certain kind of expression, then the shape of the body and everything that factors in as well. Like you're being touched by that. All of that is touching you, and if you're not, you don't touch yourself in the sense like you don't know how to. If you're not in touch with yourself, then there's no way that you could ever really trust your sensuality, what you're sensing. So it's not like senses should be cast aside, but there's really no way that you can measure one feeling over the next, whether it's a rational emotion or actual, whatever, being touched in your eyes by a person, seeing them, being touched by a sound or whatever. It's all touch. There's only one feeling. So if you're within yourself, then you're feeling yourself, and if you feel yourself, then you're in alignment. So another thing I wanted to say too, we was talking about it the other day. I was talking about the liver and Law 5 in the Tree of Life. The liver is basically the executive branch. You know what I mean? How if you fast, again, you fast, you feel yourself more too. You feel everything that isn't you. You get it. And once you get it out, you feel what it wasn't you, and then what is you. But like when you're scrubbing all of that not self away, and you're getting rid of all those behaviors and all of those drives that come from the not self and things that aren't the self, and you're going through that fasting process, it's a punishment and a reward at the same time, and it's a protection. Like we were saying, we were talking about Law 5
Yeah.
is Nobody punishes, nor rewards, nor protects, and I have the comfort of controlling these for myself. And that's the oneness of things, is that through through fasting, you're punishing yourself. In a sense, you're disciplining yourself, I should say, rather than punishment. You know, discipline is better than punishment. Punishment is unconscious discipline, really. You know, when things happen in your life and you don't know why it happened, that's you. Yourself punished you, but you weren't in alignment with yourself. The self punished the body and whatever was inside of it, because you're not the one inhabiting it. So then you experience suffering because the self is punishing you and trying to get you back into alignment. So that's an unconscious discipline, is punishment. But you have the power to discipline yourself. So fasting would be disciplining yourself, but it's a discipline or a punishment, however you want to look at it, and a reward. Because once you reach a certain stage of fasting, then you realize what you don't need and what isn't you. And it's such a relief. It's such a reward. And then at the same time, it's a protection, because you're vibrating at a certain resonance that just you won't even engage in certain things. Certain things can't even touch you. You know, things that you want to be touched by. The more that you are in touch with yourself, certain things can't touch you. So, I just wanted to say that, I guess, real quick, because there's a nice little segue there into the next thing, because I feel like, you know, we were talking about that. Because as far as like getting back in touch with yourself, you need to get in touch with the likeness, and the 11 laws are a great way to do that, you know, to have some structure and some idea of all the likeness of the self and the way that the self would behave in human form. So, you know, that's really that was it for that. But I wanted to end it with like a post I made. Is fear turns to anger quick. When you can't communicate with your family, it's easy to get argumentative with them about their follies, because you fear for them, and fear and sadness feel more vulnerable than anger. So you revert to the anger because it seems to be powerful. But wrath is one of the seven deadly sins. It's not powerful. It's weakness. It's spicy fear. So, but since you can't control people, you know, you can only experience them and accept them, and accepting them is accepting yourself. So then you can experience yourself when you're unbound by attachment, you know, through acceptance, allowing yourself in, accepting yourself. So this allows you to be the best example you can be, and then you can live without regret. You know, regret is just reverse projection. You know, instead of projecting forward, you're projecting into the past. So it's kind of like rejection. So when you're living without regret, because you're being the best example you can be. You, like Lombardi said, like, you know, you leave it out on the field, then you don't regret anything. You know, if you gave everything you had, you did everything you could, then you can't regret anything. So once you're fully embodying things, because you're unattached and you're not letting the attachment, the regret, and the fear of the future get in the way of you embodying right now, then you can take, you know, every advantage that you have left to be present with them rather than being combative. And I had some other things I wanted to say, but I think that's a short enough video. It's a cool little video. How long is it now?
18 minutes.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't want to do anything. I'll have another video once I remember some of the things I forgot. You know, it's always nice to do a video and then forget stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got some shit I want to say. I didn't say. God damn it. You know, but yeah, that's it. That's what sobriety looks like. Hmm. Drinking water. Hmm.